We respectfully request the Sangha of great virtues, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức thắng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhật thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Nam mô Sa Đan Tô Su Chế Đô Ye Ở La Hơ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Đắc Đắc Tha Tô Ya Đa Ya La Ha Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian wan jian an zao yu. 我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master Shen Hua, all good monks and nuns, and all good knowing advisors are made of all. 诸佛菩萨、精量大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư Hòa Thượng Thiên Hoa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 24th of February 2023. We're here at Wei Mountain Temple to continue discussing a prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're right now on slide 274 for door number 2. It's about stores and the teachings containing it. So we're discussing this is a great sutra, and the best sutra, the most important sutra in Buddhism, in Mahayana in particular, called the Flower Adornment Sutra, or the Sanskrit name is the Avatamsaka Sutra. So the prologue written by Master Ching Liang is sort of a survey of this sutra, and until this chapter here, door number 2 here, discusses the stores, or the 3 baskets that the sutra belongs to, and the teachings and that it contains. So basically, it belongs to the sutra store, and it contains all the teachings. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. I'm glad that have you here with us. In California in particular, it's kind of cold and wet and slippery, so it's difficult for us to even try to make it here. It's kind of brave to dare brave the weather to drive here. I would not, let me tell you. I'm a chicken. Okay, well, I'm glad to have you here. Okay, as usual, I know we have all sorts of people at different levels, so feel free to ask questions and that that pop up in your mind. Don't be afraid. Unless you ask questions, the Dharma cannot really penetrate you. The questions you have in your mind are actually barriers to the penetration of Dharma, your understanding of the Dharma. So feel free to ask questions, okay? Anytime. Besides, you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone who would dare explain to you the sutra in English. And in particular, my master disciples, my peers, I would not consider myself to be their peers. My contemporaries, well, I would not even call myself contemporaries. I'm just a lowlife. Okay? But Master Shriha disciples who are also specialists in this sutra as well, avatamsaka sutra, they explain it as well in English. But you'll be hard-pressed to find that people having a chance to ask questions. Okay? Questions are critical for the penetration of the Dharma, for the impermeation of Dharma into your psyche, into your soul. Okay, so that's why we encourage you to ask questions and spend as long as it takes to answer your questions the best way we can. All right, 274, text. The sorting out of provisional and actual will be explained later in the establishment of teachings. This ends the explanation of the stores in which it is contained.
简于全实，至下立教中明，以便所藏摄尽。
Okay, 275, a commentary. When you learn the Dharma, you learn especially Mahayana Dharma, don't expect to be able to understand. It's not the point. The point is that you listen to it and you allow these supreme seeds of the Dharma, the seeds of the supreme Dharma, to be created in your consciousness. And eventually, down the road, these seeds will sprout. And they keep on sprouting and sprouting until you get a lot more out of the teachings naturally. So the learning of the Dharma is a two-step process. Okay, first you need to plant the seeds. That's by listening, and this is why in the Saha world where we are, we stress there's a lot of emphasis on the speaking of Dharma if you are professionals like us. Okay? We must learn to lecture on sutras. And so, because we lecture in sutras, whether it's Hinayana, Mahayana, in particular for us, Mahayana sutras are really supreme seats for you. And what does it take? You need to listen. That's all it takes. Even when you don't understand anything, the seeds are still planted in your consciousness. Okay? And later, when you meditate, when you do things, you cultivate, whether you do ceremonies, you do bowing, you even listen to sutras or meditate or recite sutras and so forth, you will naturally enter samadhi, and that's when the seeds will mature. Okay? That's when you will blossom, you will attain great benefits. So it's not like worldly pursuits where you see concrete results right away. It's like farming here. That's why the Chinese use the word 修行 or cultivation. The cultivation like farming. You need to plant the seeds. You need to prepare the soil. You need to plant the seeds. And then wait for time, wait for the right conditions. Okay, and that's when you get to reap the great benefits. And that's, what you see there is really long-range planning. All great things need time to be accomplished. Okay? All right. So that's why we have a lot of, when you listen to this sutra here, even though we know that many of you are new, many of you are don't have the jargon, don't have the background, don't have the experience, we still encourage you to attend these lectures because they are there, they're designed to help plan the best seats there are right now, okay, for you. So I assure you, your time listening to sutras is never wasted. It's one of the investments of your time, okay, in your spiritual pursuit. And they're there. The seats are there forever. You know, these seeds, when you plant in the field, you need to use them within a specified period of time, otherwise they rot and they'll disappear, okay? They become useless. The Vajra seeds here that we are planting with you, and I myself included, when I listen to this, all these texts here, I'm also planting the seeds in my consciousness. And the seeds is what you will carry with you lifetime after lifetime, forever. How's that for investments? Right? So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that this tradition of listening to sutra, explaining sutras and so forth. So I'm glad you decided to come and participate in this, and so that's why in doing that you not only benefit yourself, and also you benefit a lot of people, because it takes only one of you to come. I will still lecture as by tradition. My late Chinese master, he says he would lecture. If only one person shows up, he lecture. Actually, he's being modest. Every time he lectures on sutras, it's very well attended by invisible beings, bodhisattvas, gods, goddesses, and so forth. Okay? And we can't see them, but they are there in the multitudes. But physically, you have to come. Someone has to come in order for us to lecture. Human beings have to come, by the way. We don't lecture to the bodhisattvas or the arhats alone. You have to come. That's why you create a lot of blessings. Why? Because you listen to the sutras, and they also can listen. That's why they owe you. See? All the big shots who come and listen to sutras, they only are able to do that because you come physically yourself, or you tune in as well. All right. So back to 275. The sorting out provisional actual teachings, okay, will be discussed in the establishment of teachings in one of the chapters later. And so provisional actual teachings refer to as a reminder. Provisional is the teaching that the Buddha bestowed upon the Hinayana listeners, okay, the Hinayana students, because they are limited in capacity. Therefore, he explained things that were more palatable to them starting out. And later, when more people came, then the Buddha started explaining to them the more advanced teachings, which is the actual teachings. Provisional meaning is just to keep you in the loop and pave the way for you to receive the actual teaching. Okay? So that's why it's very useful in that sense. You see how flexible the teaching is. The teaching is bestowed You can categorize it as provisional, actual, but it's bestowed upon you based on your abilities. Okay? So if you look at the Buddhist teachings, it can be classified as provisional and actual. Okay? And what about our lecture right now? Is it actual or provisional? It's both. Okay? It's interspersed. Sometimes provisional, sometimes actual, depending on who is being tailored to. Okay? And when you listen to it, actually explanation actually tailored towards the attendees, the people who are there for your needs. Okay? So that's why you cannot tell whether it's provisional or actual. It's the lecturer's job, not your job. Okay? To discern it. All right. So it will be explained later. In the establishment of the teachings later. Okay, 276. The second, clarifying the teachings in which it is contained. The teachings fall into two categories.
第二名教摄者，教有两种。
277 commentary. Remember, this door number 2 here has two parts: the stores and the teachings containing it. So the stores, the great master Qing Liang just finished discussing it in this prologue. Now he's starting into the teachings containing it. Okay, and there are two categories of the teachings. Teachings are the bestowing of knowledge that the teacher give you for reason, for purpose. So that's why I said in our particular lectures, for example, is both provisional and actual. You don't need to distinguish it, okay? But the lecturer needs to do both, okay? Because why? Because originally the Buddha only taught the provisional or a temporary teaching for a reason, because those people were limited. Now we are teaching both provisional and actual because the concept here is to plant the seeds for you. So in times, because we have like thousands of videos in English in Mahayana, and so it's a lot of seeds have been sown already. And now, so you see, some of you are new, so we need to plant the seeds. And then some of you have been like old hats, so we need to help you start maturing those seeds as well. So that's why it's always a mixture nowadays on the provisional and actual teachings. When we first started, 16, 17 years ago, it's mostly provisional, because I had to prepare my students to reach arhatship, become sound hearers. And now our attendees, our disciples are full spectrum, from beginner to all the way pretty high up. Okay, so that's why now we have to address the full spectrum. Yes, 8.
From Cordelia, comparing the seed that we listen to live lecture, YouTube live lecture, we watching YouTube and listening while sleeping, are the quality of the seeds different?
Not really. The seeds are bestowed by sound or by reading. And so if you do that, the seed go into your consciousness and are stored in your what is called the 8th consciousness, the alaya consciousness. It will be there forever. Okay, we use it. We call it, bless you, we call it Vajra seeds, because no one could destroy it. Okay? Why do I say no one? It's not quite true. It's not no one. Actually, we can destroy it, but why should we? Besides us, no one can. Okay, so that's why we'll never destroy. We'll never be destroyed at all. No one can destroy it. Okay? And so all you have to do is to listen. Even though you're sleeping, okay, your seeds still enter your consciousness. And so there's not really a difference in a quality, but if you're sleeping, and whether you're awake or sleeping, it really does not make much difference. The only difference is when it matures. So when you awake, then there are much higher chances for the seeds to mature than you were lumbering around. Okay? Yeah, that's all. That's the only difference. All right? Remember, I said the seeds are there. And what activates the seeds, will help them mature, is when you enter samadhi. It's not by thinking. Thinking is not important. Okay? All right, it's a different animal. All right? Yeah. So, for example, when I said provisional, we give you both provisional and actual, because if there are more advanced people, I would relay the actual teachings for them, for their sake. You are newer, I would go stress more on the provisional, for your sake only. But you cannot tell the difference. Okay? Yeah. Why? Because if you do that, then people can progress at their own pace much quicker. Whereas if only one person comes, then all the seeds are directed towards that person and the attendees. Yes, go forth.
Master, does listening to mantras and Buddha name recitation also plant seeds, or is there a difference between that versus listening to sutras?
Yes, you do. Mantra, they also produce seeds as well. Recite the Buddha's name also produce seeds as well. Okay. The difference is who recites, who lectures. That's a huge difference. And that's why it really so too bad that when my Master Shinhua, was lecturing in Chinese, people did not ask enough questions. It's such a shame to me. Okay? Because if people ask more questions, the seeds will be much better quality and will mature a lot quicker than otherwise. But so yes, the question, yes, there's reciting Buddha's name, reciting sutras, or reciting mantras also plant seeds. However, the person who recites determines the quality of the seeds. Any other questions from San Jose? Yes, 4 here.
Master, when we recite the Buddha names, do we believe, what do we believe in, how do we say it? Do you love the Buddha when you recite the names, or you are asking for help? What is the attitude we have towards Buddha when we chant the name?
When you recite the Buddha's name, let's say Amitabha, when we say in English, we say recite the Buddha's name, or Nian Fo in Chinese, or how do you say in Korean? Yangbul? Okay. Then we actually mean reciting Amitabha Buddha's name. Okay? But actually, it also means you're going to be reciting Shakyamuni Buddha's name, Medicine Master Buddha's name, so forth. When you recite, in particular, Amitabha Buddha's name, you're having a lot, and you have tremendous benefits. For you in particular, it eradicates a lot of obstructions, a lot of offenses you created in the past. Okay, if you recite along, let's say, at the temple here, and you have, you probably can imagine quite a few people are much better than you, much higher level than you. So the fact you're there in the ceremony and you recite together with them, okay, their recitation actually are helping you tremendously. If they recite, okay, instead of sleeping or instead of sitting there and doing nothing, they don't necessarily have to recite loudly if they recite even with their mind, okay? Their recitation are helping eradicate even more offenses for you, for everyone else. Okay, that's one of the benefits. And you're creating rebirth blessings. You are, that recitation actually is a form of Chan practice. Okay, our Chan training is a lot more than just crossing our legs and reciting a mantra or reciting Buddha's name or investigating Huatou. All of those. A complete Chan training is all of those. Okay, and eventually when you get higher to the level of our disciples, you understand why. Why it's much more beneficial and you progress a lot faster when you practice Chan that way. Okay, so there the recitation of the Buddha's name is a form of Chan practice will help you enter samadhi. Okay, and the benefits are incredible. You eventually see for yourself. Okay, it's not enough time, or we're not interested in selling it to you. Because this is not a sales job. Okay, if you have the blessings, you will benefit from it. You don't have the blessing, you drop out. Tough luck. That's all you got. Okay, so it's not uncommon for people who do not have enough blessings, by the way, to come once. Now listen and they say, bowing to Buddha's name? What's this Abhitofo here? It's nonsense. I'm out of here. But you know what? Because of that, they will become a Buddha. That's how patient we are. We're not worried. We're not worried about retaining you or converting you to Buddhists and so forth. It's not that important. Okay?
Thank you, Master.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. 8.
From Cheng Cheng, so AI can't manipulate the 8th consciousness?
AI what?
AI cannot manipulate the 8th consciousness?
AI cannot what?
Manipulate.
Manipulate the 8th consciousness? The 8th consciousness is like a hard disk. It's a SSD. Okay? It just stores things. And can AI manipulate it? Yes, it can throw junk into it. Or it can put good things into it. But I'm grateful to one of my disciples who explained to me what ChatGPT, the rage right now for AI. She explained to me how it works. I said, you call it AI? Yeah, probably AI or inferior artificial intelligence or something. Geez, that's, our mind is much more miraculous. It's incredible what we're capable of doing. And what these people who make such a fuss out of ChatGPT and so forth, and AI and so forth, it's so far from understanding the functionings and the workings of the mind, what your mind is capable of. If they simply, these people, if they simply practice chant, they see that, I would not waste time doing ChatGPT. It's too low level. It's a waste of my time. Anyway, let it manipulate. We don't care. Just like let people manipulate us. We're not afraid. All right, anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Master, I currently have the recitation of you, Master Hoa, and then I would like to put on the sutra explanation all together at the same time. Would that mess up the seed?
Will mess up what?
The seed that is planted, one is reciting the mantra and one is explain the sutra in Vietnamese simultaneously at the same time. Would that mess up the seed inside?
Mess up the what?
The seed.
The seed. The tea?
S-E-E-D.
Well, I like Chinese tea.
D as in dog.
The mess up what?
Seed. S-E-E-D. D as in dog.
The seed. Will mess up the seed. And what do you do now? These Vietnamese are too much. They're so creative. Yes. What did you create now? You want to create now? Not ChatGPT, but... I cannot believe company will invest so much money. Like I heard Microsoft spend billions of dollars investing in ChatGPT, and I said, really? You should be building like temples, Mahayana temples throughout the world. Your investment will be far greater to all your stockholders and you than buying into ChatGPT. My goodness. A lack of wisdom somewhere. Yes, what did you do again? What did you do to me? What do you want to do?
I have recitation 24 hours. Now I would like to also have sutra explanation playing at the same time. So playing two at the same time, would that be confusing or would it be okay?
Confusing to you?
To the work of planting the seed of wisdom in my consciousness.
In your consciousness?
Yes, Master.
Okay. God, I hate these questions. It's not, ever been explained before. What are we supposed to do? Okay, yeah, it won't. I hope. Okay, why not? It's because, believe it or not, your mind is so fast. Your Buddha mind is so fast. It can register that quickly as well. So you can basically, just for the heck of it, because we're talking about ChatGPT and AI in general. So practically, you should be playing like 10 different or 100 different tapes and sutras and so forth. Your seats are incredible. Okay? Why not? But for me, why don't we encourage that? Greed. If you do things, part of your spiritual practice, that has a tinge, listen to me carefully. If in your cultivation, whatever you do has just one iota of greed, of manipulation, you planted screwy seeds. And those will mature to themselves one of these days, and you'll be sorry. So that's why there's no need to be greedy. Don't be so greedy. I listen to maybe 20 things at the same time, but you shouldn't. Okay? Because I'm greedy. I can be greedy. You should not be greedy. You understand? You trying. It's just like it's not necessary to do that at all. You know why not? Another reason, not because of greed alone, but also, what makes you think that you haven't heard? You have plenty of seeds already. Why do I say that? Because you didn't. If you didn't, okay, have seeds, you'd be gone already. It's very tough to keep on coming and coming and coming and listen to all these things. All these lectures and these concepts. Very challenging. Yes, go Forrest.
Oh, Master, you stole my thunder. I was going to recommending Han that why stop at 2? Why not go more? And adding Master your video and Master Shenhua's and then sutra.
At the same time, yeah.
Yeah, and then I also have the question of now, where do you stop? And the Master answered that question already, so thank you.
See, another greedy disciples. Too smart for your own good. Okay? So it brings up one important point. Do things free from greed, anger, and stupidity. That's when your seeds are of the best quality. Even though we give you the seeds, you listen to the seeds of Master Shenhua's explanation, for example, those are Vajra seeds. But because you listen with the mind of greed, of anger, okay, then the seeds actually are not as pure in your consciousness. So it's like we give you a gift, but you decide to alter it because of your impure mind. And that's why if you do that with an impure mind, your progress will be a lot slower than the other disciples who are pure. It's all your fault. It's not we are discriminating and say, I like you more than I like her, her and so forth. And that's why I give you better seats I will ignore. So no. It's no discrimination whatsoever, because if I did that, then my blessings are far fewer. Because one lecture, I need to have a pure mind as well. No discrimination. Okay? No anger. Don't sit there and say, oh, I don't know. He doesn't like me. I'm here because I must. Or like that disciple of mine in San Jose, I'm here because I want to maximize my profits, my benefits. Hey, what happened in San Jose? People showed up? Good weather up there? Seriously? I know the Koreans have nothing to do on Saturday morning. Afternoon. All right. Next. 278. 1. The 12-fold teachings of characteristics held in common, which also divides into the great and the small. This will be explained later in the 10 Treasuries chapter.
译者通向12分教，一分大小，至下10藏品变。
Okay, 279 commentary. So you see, you just listen. You see the whole point of this is to listen, and that's it. Don't discriminate, listen. And of course, this doesn't make sense to you, and that's why we're trying to explain to you and trying to clarify it for you. Okay, so here the 12-fold teachings, a little bit explained a little bit later. 12-fold here, there's a distinctive divisions of how the teaching is given to you, and those, even though it's 12 different types of teachings, actually they can classify that into great or small. Okay, and it will be explained later. And what are the 12 divisions? They call 12 divisions. It's not like Army, Navy, and Navy SEALs and so forth. No, 12 divisions here are prose, resumptives, verses, predictions, interjections, spontaneous speaking unrequested, causes and conditions, analogies, past lives, deeds, deeds of this life, expansion, the hitherto unknown, explanations, that's 12. Okay, so in the Buddhist sutras, you'll find all of these 12 things, these 12 divisions. Okay, what are they? Prose, which is basically Changhang or Qijing. They also call the Qijing is the text that matches the potential with the teaching. Okay. So remember the Buddha's, when he first started, he had to go slow, so he taught only the low-level teaching. That's called provisional. That's called Hinayana, okay? Because he decided to warm the students up first, okay? And so the majority of the Buddhist the sutra lectures are in the form of prose, just regular verse. Regular words, okay, that will they're given according to the potential of the listeners. Okay, we'll talk about potential later down the road. Don't try to ask me too many questions, okay? So give it time so that it sinks in. And you keep on hearing and hearing it. What's so great about Master Xinhua's teachings is that he went into the Buddhist concepts, the Buddhist jargon and concepts and teachings, and he kept on repeating them. So that's why, don't worry, even though he's not around, you can't ask questions anymore. You can just keep on listening, and he will come back to it, and we'll come back to it time and time again. All right, and those are our core foundations. Okay, so the prose is a majority of the teaching. The resumptive verses, or the meaning that maybe he explained the teacher gave you teachings in the form of prose, but then he used the verses to reiterate, to put more emphasis on the prose. Okay, that's the second form of second division. Third division, predictions. In the sutras, for example, in the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha has a section where the Buddha says, you, Ananda, my cousin and my devoted disciples, in the future, you become a Buddha by this in this kalpa, this time period called so and so, and your Buddha, your name will be so and so, and then you appear in the world you create in this world here, the Buddha world, the Buddha land called so and so, and you'll be teaching for so long. Your Dharma will stay in that world for so long and so forth. So the Buddha gave prediction. He basically says, I know you become a Buddha. Okay, and especially I want to encourage you to know that you're on the right track. And now it's irreversible for you. You will become a Buddha in that time, at that time. Okay, so it is a form of reward, a form of encouragement. So to give a prediction like that, so it's a big time for us. So that's why it's very, very encouraging for us as well, who did not receive predictions. All right, and I cannot give you predictions of when you become a Buddha because I'm no Buddha. I don't know. Buddhas would know. I wouldn't know. That's a proof. I'm no Buddha. Okay, good thing that no one ever even could think I was a Buddha. Okay, but I occasionally give predictions. For example, I predict this year there'll be a lot more sound hearers among our attendees because that's the norm nowadays. You know, when I first started, I was so happy to bring people to first dhyana to fourth dhyana. I said, wow, these people have potential, you know. And then pretty soon it becomes fifth samadhi, the eighth samadhi, and wow, I said, now I'm no longer impressed by the externalists. My disciples, our disciples are just as high as the gurus. You know, what's his name? Sai Baba. What's her name? Jinghai. Huh? All those people are externalist teachers, or an Indian guru who's I have bushy hair, he claims he has 1 million disciples, and many of them are Caucasian, and he has like a white thing here, and his bushy hair has a speck of white. Okay, I was impressed by him. He was a 6th samadhi. He's dead already, I think. And so I said, now my disciples, if they leave me, they can go out and become a guru on their own accord, and I will be contributing to the world. Why not? Okay, we can't teach them all. And then after that, some started going to the sound hearer range, meaning arhat, first stage arhat to fourth stage arhat, and so forth. And so the norm nowadays is sound hearers. Okay, yeah. And that's why you monks and nuns should run scared. Okay, because the lay disciples are that scary, should be that scary to you. They're higher level than you. You should be making offerings to them. They shouldn't make offerings to you. Okay? All right. That's the norm. But, my prediction also is that there are many more of you who will become enlightened, both lay people and left home people. Okay, so those are predictions, meaning that you are on the right track. Don't look down upon yourself. You have tremendous potential. Interjections are they're not connected. When you speak Dharma, you have the speaking of Dharma has all these principles. Interjections are just standalones. They're not connected to the teaching before or the teachings after. Okay, so those are interjections. The other one is spontaneous speaking unrequested, refers to the fact that Mahayana teachings are as a principle, because it's requested, meaning you need to formally ask to be taught with sincerity, then you will be bestowed the teaching because of your sincerity. It's given to you to benefit you. If you're not sincere, you're not that serious about it, we're not going to waste our time teaching you. Okay? And that's why typically in Mahayana, Master Shenhua stressed that we have a Dharma request. We started today. Okay, before we speak the sutras, it has to be requested. That's in that spirit. The Dharma has to be requested. You need to show sincerity. So that's why I would personally concentrate and recite the Dharma request. Go through that process, because I'm requesting help from the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas as well. Okay. However, there are times where the Dharma, it must be spoken, even though it's not requested. It's because people don't have enough wisdom to request the Dharma. So that's why, in particular, the Pure Land Dharma is so advanced, so wonderful, that they wouldn't know, people wouldn't know that it should be requested. So the Buddha says,